everybody. This is Pastor D alongside,
Ashley.
and this is episode 14 of the Practical Path podcast. Well, first off, apologize. We did not post a podcast last week. We did one. It'll actually show up at some point in the outtake files at some point. Didn't go off the rails. It's just one of the things I prayed about afterwards, and it didn't turn out, I believe, the way it should. Uh, at least not the way I hoped the subject matter would have, and I honestly didn't think it was appropriate to put in how things were discussed, not necessarily what was discussed. Would you say that was about right? Ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you prayed to God, He laid something on your heart, and you followed.
Well, that's what we're supposed to do, right? Okay, so first off, I want to thank you, the church elders. I want to thank the church itself. This is the Pathway Community Church, 1028 Salem Avenue in Hagerstown, Maryland. And we're proud to be a member of the congregation, and we're proud to be Christians, people that love and follow God and just love people in general, and want to spread the love that God has given us to everyone in the world, or as many as we can possibly do. Um, so, in the midst of a week passing, there's been a lot of upheaval and a lot of uproar in the world, and uh, we're gonna address some of that. It's gonna be a little bit harsh, so folks that are watching, settle down, sit back, grab some water. Okay, it won't be anything crazy, but it's gonna be some hard topics discussed here. Okay, so jumping right into it, Charlie Kirk's passing, his assassination. Uh, Someone did it, and the idea that someone would be killed over having a different view than someone else is not only sick and appalling, but it's very stressing. At least that's my thought. What do you think?
Definitely could lead someone, and sometimes even me, to not want to put my opinions out there.
So now you're just gonna clam up?
No, I didn't say I was going to clam up, but I mean, I've never been one to just spew whatever comes into my head, and however it comes out, it comes out. I very much think through things I am gonna say or need to say,
Okay.
and I probably 90% of the time hold back on how it comes out because I don't want to offend somebody. I'm kind of a people pleaser, so I still want the person to like me afterwards. But
Yeah.
as I've gotten older, I've kind of started speaking more of what is on my mind and what I want to say without necessarily what other people thinks.
Mhm.
But I'm still
Mhm.
I still try to come at it as respectful as I can without just saying you're a douche. I don't care what you say. This is what it is.
Wow. I mean, it's fine to speak your mind. You don't have to be rude about it or anything. But you know, God gave me a mouth, and in some cases, He made me pretty loud. I'm sure you can attest to that. And be it that I'm unapologetic about what I feel about the Lord and who God wants me to reach, and myself. There's there's a lot that's come on my mind about this whole thing, and I'm not gonna be political here, not much, because I don't really believe in preaching from the pulpit. Not that this is a pulpit; that's behind us. Um, and it's just something that I've been taught, not a good thing. Politics and preaching politics from the pulpit. Um, Even though the person that taught me sometimes does, he knows what I'm talking about. Um, I don't think it's a good practice. And when it comes to politics, Charlie Kirk was definitely a political person. He had his opinions on things, and people like him. Yeah, there's a few. What Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro, uh, Matt Walsh. There's a lot of them that they're on the left or the right or what have you. And I mean, me personally, I'm an independent. I'm in the middle, but regardless of what these people have to say, whether they're on the right or the left, we live in a country that has a First Amendment. That First Amendment is about free speech. And while myself personally, I, I can't really say whether or not I agreed with what he had to say. I agree that he had the right to say it, and I agree that he had the right to be a father, and I agree that he had the right to be, to be a husband and to be a God fearing man. And again, I'm not trying to say whether you're a good person, bad person, or what have you. I have my personal views, and I'm keeping those to me for the moment. But at the same time, what he said, was his own opinions about things, and he also often brought stats, and you know, uh, plenty of people alike on both sides. They bring stats. They're professional debaters, right? I mean, I watch a lot of podcasts. I mean, aside from doing one, I watch quite a few of them, right? You do watch a few every so often, don't you?
Not really, no.
Uh, Breaking my heart. Well, when it comes to consuming such material, there has to be a certain level of what do they call it? Emotional maturity that you can digest what's happened. You can take it in, digest, and formulate your own opinions without becoming violent. And there are some folks that'll say people on the left are more violent, people on the right are more violent. It's really Coke versus Pepsi. And I'm going to say that I don't care, which side you're on, whether you're Democrat, Republican, Independent, whether you're a Martian, it doesn't matter. You really shouldn't get to the point where you think that it's all right to be violent to someone just for speaking their opinion. I mean, I had someone very close to me, very near and dear to me. I love her to death. One of my close cousins. I love her to death. And we had a conversation recently about my relationship with another family member of mine, and it was hard hitting. But she has that clout with me, so she can ask those questions, and she acted like she didn't know, but she knew that she had that clout with me, and I respect her for it. I respect her for asking that questions about the relationship, and I mean, we went back and forth a little bit, but one of the things that her opinion differs from mine about the situation, but we respected each other enough to hear each other out, right? I didn't want to drive down where she's at and beat her up or shoot her or hurt her. And same token, she's not driving to where I'm at trying to take me out because we had a difference of opinion. And God was in that conversation. There was definitely a lot of the past in that conversation, and family in the past. Things can get pretty emotional. And nowhere in there did we feel that kind of malice. And I don't care what your views are. This world and our country, they're going through a metamorphosis right now. And just as Ashley here said, at one point, she didn't really speak her mind so much, but as she's getting older, she's doing so. I mean, would you call that a metamorphosis, a transformation, maybe a little bit, revolution, even?
Something's happening.
I was talking about with you.
And me?
Yeah.
Uh, Maybe. Or it's just maybe growing up, and as I hear a lot of older people say, I'm too old to care what people say. I mean, it takes a lot of energy to care about, I guess sometimes maybe changing who you are, just so you don't have people mad at you. And part of it is where I'm at in my life, career wise, family wise, that I just don't have the mental wherewithal to put as much thought into it as I used to.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Well, I mean, when it comes to the pop culture issues, the political issues and the social issues that people are fussing and fighting over, putting a lot of thought into it.
And I think with all these shootings, because it seems like most of these shootings have something to do with political or some emotional issue that and the way we just talk to each other about these issues. I just feel God, I think it just saddens him how we're interacting with each other and we're letting the things of this world make us so angry
Mm-hmm.
that we want to shoot people.
Yep.
So sad and depressed that we can't even get out of bed. We're so anxious that we can't even walk out the door because we're thinking about, as I read this morning in my devotional, we're thinking about all the what ifs. And we don't know that these what ifs are going to come to fruition.
Guilty. Mm-hmm.
And God created us to be joyful and to commune with each other and to respect and learn from each other. And I don't think there's anything wrong with us having these discussions and conversations. We're not doing it respectfully anymore. This is my opinion. I don't care what your opinion is, and I'm going to cut you off every time you get ready to tell
What are
me
you trying to
your
say?
thoughts.
Hmm?
Nobody's listening.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, okay, yes.
Kind of like that, right?
Yes,
Kind of like
I
that,
don't know
right?
what you're doing.
Yeah, kind of like that.
We're not giving each other a chance to just say, this is my opinion. Right or wrong, it's mine. And we're not letting people do that and finish their sentences without getting cut off or getting so angry that you leave the room or wherever you were having it mad, and then you're like, and you have to literally say to the other people sometimes, I'm not trying to be mad or mean. I'm just so I mean, we've had these personal conversations with other people in our life where they get so upset and voices are raising, and I've had to step in and say, why are we raising our voices? This is just a discussion.
Yep, you have. And that anger and that the way I would say a lack of emotional maturity is the biggest thing. And we said in a previous podcast that a lot of folks are entitled in this day and age. And they think that they're entitled to speak their opinion, and that's it. Somebody disagrees, then oh man, they go, scorched earth. Well, right now there's a lot of senators and representatives and other public figures that are scrambling now to increase security. The current administration in the White House, they're trying to get a bunch more money to approve for more security, to be allocated, more money to be allocated for security. And it just blows my mind that we've come to a point now, our country is basically in a political civil war, more so than maybe ever. And I agree with you. I think it saddens God. And I agree with another thing. What you said was it's kind of like having to grow up. I'm a fan of that word. Not to say that I don't have my immature moments. I do. I'm human, not perfect, but by and large, I think of myself as generally a mature person in general. Would you agree or disagree with that?
Smart, yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah. See, that wasn't very mature.
Well, that wasn't fun.
But I look at the world and I look at the emotional maturity of folks, regardless of age. And I'm not even talking about young. I'm talking folks that are in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, 60s, even some of them. They're not very mature emotionally, and they let themselves get upset, and they just let the tide of the world and turn them away from, godly ways. Well, here's what I'll say. For the folks that, we're slated to reach, you know, um, when it comes down to it, okay, if you get it in your head that someone that you disagree with, that you got to take them out, that you have to physically harm them, do damage to them, defame them, make it so that their life is miserable. Let's try growing up instead. Let's try maybe seeking help. Or maybe let's try sitting down and maybe having a conversation, an exchange of ideas. Maybe you and that person or people can, come to an agreement. And even if you can't, maybe you can at least come to a point where you understand where that person is coming from. You might not like them, you might not like their position or respect their position or what have you, but maybe you can respect their right to say it. You know, we come under a covenant here in Christianity. We come under a covenant of, love thy neighbor, right? You hear it all the time. You hear it in TV, right? You've seen it on the, on what all those things on the back of cars. Those bumper stickers, yeah. I mean, people put them in the windows too, right? You see these things, and all these, godly sayings, love thy neighbor, um, you know, love the Lord with everything you've gotten and love your neighbor as yourself. That sums up the Ten Commandments. But what I'm getting at, what I want you guys to pull out of this is honest and true. If you have to damage someone else to get your point across, is your point that strong? And in my opinion, it isn't. Your opinion should be able to be put out there and tested, weighed, tried, and convicted. And if your opinion and your position can't stand any scrutiny, then it's not an opinion worth putting out there. And maybe, just maybe, we should take a look at ourselves. I mean, I do it every day. Ask Ashley. I'm a thinking man. Many a time on the weekend she'll come down and I'm already up and I'm just sitting and thinking. I think we need to put more thought into how we're handling our human condition. Yeah, I know we need to put more thought into how we handle God. And if you're handling people, you're handling God, in a lot of ways, because we should try to see God in everybody. Don't you think?
And I mean, I don't have all the answers. One thing I do know is if you're feeling these feelings of anger, the depression, the anxiety, just start telling God about
Yeah. I mean, if you know,
it. Get it out of your
yeah,
system.
yeah, if you know a godly person, talk to them. Somebody that you trust, and let it loose. I'm sure that they'll listen. You can email us here, or comment on the podcast. We'll get back to you. The idea is let's have conversations and not gunshots, right? Let's have dialogue instead of a bunch of punches being thrown. Let's put people their positions under scrutiny instead of putting bodies in caskets or bodies in hospitals. God doesn't find that good. And in reality, neither should you. I don't know who this is for, but I'd love for anybody that's feeling angry, upset, doesn't like, a certain person's opinion or a political person's opinion, you're thinking about violence or something like that, you should definitely reach out to someone where you can calm down, where you can address that issue inside. Take it in, where you can let it out and let a support circle or a support system of people help you with that. Because now you got a guy that was on the run. They say they caught him, and he's now not cooperating with police or anything like that. And what did he get him? Okay, so he assassinated a person. Now he's going to jail for life, and you've got people calling for his death. When is it going to stop? You got people, I mean, like big time political figures calling for revenge in various memes. I don't even know if it's them. It may not even be them. It may be their people saying. You've got people on the other side there, making all sorts of fun and memes and craziness that Charlie Kirk has been killed. I think I don't remember the person's name, but it was a Democratic person and their family that was killed in the house not too long ago. And it's just insane the amount of things that are being said in people's DMs and threats that are being made, revenge being wished on and threatened as it's not right. I know that not everybody will love everything. That's the dream. But the last thing I want to say is I when it comes to one of my really good friends, you've seen him here. He did an interview here, Justin, my pastor. It's a really good friend of mine. Known him now for almost 20 years. I've seen him through some stuff. He's seen me through plenty. We've spoken into each other's lives. And our worldviews, I can't say that they're not completely different, but polar. They're polar in a lot of areas. He's here, I'm there, in different ways. Um, but what I can say, despite our worldview challenges, you wouldn't know it if you saw us together. If you saw us together, you'd think we went to high school together, that we were chums from, playing with Tonka trucks in the sandbox. I love him to death. And I love plenty of people whose worldviews don't match mine. And for someone that is as scrutinizing and as judgmental as I can be, if I can accept and love someone through God's grace, because it's definitely His grace and mercy that has pulled that out of me. And my own human failing, trust me, it wouldn't work. I wouldn't have any friends.
No.
Thanks. Without God, this goes nowhere. So I encourage you, a group of folks that are unchurched, that are seeking, that are just trying to figure out this whole godly thing, or even those that are angry at God. If you want to change, if you're thinking about it, drop us a line, drop us an email, feel free to comment, and we'll more than happily engage with you. And it'll just be us talking, sharing ideas. So that'll wrap up this episode here. And I am indeed Pastor D.
Ashley, have a good week.
And I hope everybody has a great week. Like the episode, comment on it, comment. Well, here on YouTube, that's where we like it. And it would be a really big help. Subscribe to the channel. And we'll see you guys next time. Amen.